Today I'm going to show you how to update your cabinet doors without replacing them. And so this only works though if you have a flat paneled door. So for example, like this one, I am currently adding to my kitchen cabinet, so I'm building some new doors to match the ones that I have already finished. And so what I'm going to do is add some trim onto this, and it only works if you have flat panels. You can't already have some sort of trim on it. So it's an easy way to update. So you'll need a flat panel door, and then what you'll do is a 1/4 inch MDF, and this I cut down into strips, and it depends on the size of the door on what size of trim I would recommend cutting. This is a 2 inch for this small door, and I have 3 inches for a bigger door. And so I've cut it and I've sanded it. So I've sanded all the edges, and the nice thing about MDF is that it'll give you a very smooth, very nice finish, plus it's easy to sand. So that's why I really like it. So here's our MDF, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to install it onto this door, plus some other doors, but here we go. To add the trim onto the cabinets, we're going to put a strip right here, and a strip right here, and then in the middle, right down here at the bottom, and at the top, we'll just add a little piece. And so, because this door goes up and down, so if it went this way, then we'll do opposite. That's how I decided I wanted to do mine, so that's how I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. So I have my trim piece, and this trim piece is a 2 inch trim piece. And so what I like to do is I like to place it down on a flat surface. Then I take the cabinet door. This is the front of the cabinet door, so I'm going to place it down on top. And I actually don't like to get right up against the edge because, like I told you before, the nice thing about MDF, which is the type of trim that we're using, it sands off very, very easily. So I like to leave just a little bit, so that way I have a little bit to work with. And then what I'll do is I'll come down here and I'll create a mark at the end of the board for where my trim needs to be cut. And then I'll go take it to the saw and cut it. But because I like to save on time, I'm gonna write left and I'm gonna write right. And so I did this side right here. So I'm gonna write right on this guy, and then I'm gonna flip it. And I'm gonna do the left side as well. And now I'm gonna go cut both of those pieces. Okay, so I went and I cut my 2 pieces of wood, and I don't know if you can see this, but my mark, I don't worry about being that close to it because, again, I said it doesn't matter yet. The next ones after installing these 2, it will matter, but we're not there yet, so we don't have to worry about it. So I have my piece, and I have my right side, and I have my left side. And so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna use a rag. I'm gonna wipe off these guys because I just sanded them, so they are dusty. And this guy. And also this guy. Okay, now once they're all sanded off, I am going to use my nail gun. So inside this I have 5/8 inch nails, and they're little. So the thing that you want to think about though as you're adding this trim is if you have a routed edge like this and you're putting this on, the chances of it going all the way through and poking out is very likely. So you want to make sure that you're in far enough that you miss any of the routed edges. So like on this guy, I have it up here and on the back side, but not on the very bottom. So I don't have to be very careful over there. So just as a side note with those. And then what you're gonna do is when I did this the first time, I used liquid nails, but this time I'm going to use just the standard wood glue. And then what I'm going to do is take it and run it along. And if you had some sort of thing to paint this on, that would be great, but I just use my finger. Now you're going to place it. And that's the thing with the liquid nails, it does adhere a little easier than the wood glue. So you'll just be mindful of that. And then you're just going to kind of make it so it's level on the edge. And then when you're happy with it, you'll just nail it into place. So pretty good there. So I'm just going to take and place a nail. So I'm going to start with that one right there, then come down here and move the board. So it's kind of good, but I don't know if you can tell, but like along this part, it's starting to bow slightly. So it's a good idea to just take a couple nails going down and move the wood as you go. And again, I'm going to do some on this side, but this time I'm going to be in enough so that I don't have to worry about it going through on that groove. Okay, so there's my first one, and I'm going to do the next one. So to add the piece in between, the trim piece, I like to just take my trim piece and I insert it into the groove, like where it's going to be. And it's hard because this door is so small, but the goal is to try to mark right where this other one's going to be. And it's better to mark larger and then go back and recut until it fits perfectly. So I'm just going to hurry in, try to get it where it needs to be. Like that, and then so this is going to be the bottom and the other side will be the top. And I'll just do the same thing here. And I'll show you this with a bigger door because it is easier where you can actually insert this guy right here. And it'll bump up against the trim piece, so you'll know exactly where it ends. But I'll show you that on a bigger door because this one is a little bit harder to do. Okay, I'm gonna go cut my pieces. So I've cut these little pieces, and I wanted to just show you a couple different things. So like this is my back one, and I cut it large and see how it won't fit at all. Where I've already cut the top piece down to fit. But this one would work. It's not as snug as I'd like it. So I actually wanted to show you more of a snug piece, where this one is very snug. Once you fill in all the little pieces, you won't be able to see as much of a gap. See how you can see a little bit more of a gap on this one than that one. So I'll be using this one, but I just wanted to show you, I started out with a larger piece and then I went back to the saw back and forth. Yes, it does take a little bit of time, but it gives you a better exact fit for the piece, so I recommended doing that. So I'm gonna go back and cut this one to fit. Then attach the piece just like the other sides. After, use a pin and punch to slightly indent the nails into the wood. Now this board is all ready to fill in the nail holes, and then we can fill in like the outside edges too with some wood filler. So I'll fill in all of this stuff that I don't want showing, but first I'll go take it and sand these smooth. After you have sanded each door and wiped it with a cloth, apply caulk to the inside groove of the door to give you a seamless finish. After, you're ready for paint.